I didn't start off as being an artist. After graduating from high school, I joined the Marine Corps, and I served from 2001 to eventually 2008, so a total of 7 years. I deployed twice in Iraq, and sort of those experiences sort of, at first indirectly informed a lot of my artwork. And especially in grad school, then I went to kind of fine arts field, it became sort of prominent, these themes of my autobiography and then my other interests in history and in literature, they all kind of merged into sort of my artwork, and that's sort of a more wide take on it. I always say that I'm a painter, and sometimes I just leave it at that, though at times, I don't do a lot of painting. But I've always thought of myself as a painter, and I always think in a painterly language, so everything I make, regardless if it turns out to be a painting, starts off as a painting in my head. They evolve to not necessarily be paintings because I'm really looking at times at pursuing a sort of condition I want to give off in sort of my visual works. So it doesn't have to turn out as paintings. And a lot of times it becomes sculptures or installations and really just trying to hit a certain tenor or sort of explore the certain condition that I really want to present. Like I said, a lot of it specifically tied into this interest in history and sort of my autobiographical experiences with not only being in the military, being born in the Philippines, and then immigrating because of political turmoil during the Philippines, and that disconnect, and also really trying to explore for myself as well as inform this sort of unimaginable scale like human trauma or catastrophe, and it's almost impossible, and sometimes it seems like a futile attempt. So sometimes it becomes hyper-specific. It becomes about victimized bodies, at the same time the dichotomy of being a victim and an authority figure, and an agent of kind of in a military spectrum, but at the same time the victim of the military machine as well. And other times it becomes just sort of a reflection on mass casualty, whatever that means. And not to say specify death, but casualty of a lot of things, of truth, of humanity, etc. So it becomes, wider things. And but that I don't necessarily directly connect that to my artwork at first. I think it's better to leverage it to some certain points, to use metaphors. Recently I've made animal structures to sort of represent multiple things, and it doesn't have to be like a direct infographic on those themes. The big draw for me was really working with the Art and Art History Department of the University of Iowa, and they've been spectacular and supportive in all my sort of endeavors, and working with the students. I think by far, just working and interacting with the undergrads and grads, not just like as faculty, but also kind of at the boots in the ground level. That for me is one of the most positive factors. I think this fellowship specifically gives the opportunity to sort of uniquely interact with the community in a way that's sort of scholastic and intimate and regional that it's hard to find anywhere else. I don't think you can, and I think that it's just a positive for not only my art practice but for my professional career and sort of my personal growth. At a formal level, even at just like making things with new materials I'm not familiar with, now I have like the resources or the tools to kind of fabricate things. In a formal basic level, that's affected my work. I've worked with a lot of universities and colleges, and each one is unique, and as is this. And I think just being exposed to this sort of dialogue, I think just being in an intimate arts community like this, it's very productive for my work, but as well I can give back to a community that's readily enthusiastic about my feedback, which is great. So there's this symbiotic thing that happens.